specific like base switch. Tark, can I see you? So from side control here, just on this side here, sorry, just so you can see. I think it's important, no matter what escape you want to do, to have a very similar like framing structure, where my right arm here, my right forearm is going to be underneath the rib, wedged into the hip. My right knee is also connected to the far side of Tarek's hip here. And then my left arm, for the most part, I want it to be under his chin here, under his neck. Okay. That way I can use my right arm for a couple different things. One, to alleviate cross-face pressure, and to also wedge against his hips. So I have a good sensitivity of like what he's going to do and where he's going to move. Our most basic escape that we've seen, most of us probably, is trying to create space to get my elbow and knee connected underneath my partner here. But I find, even if you don't know you're doing this, most people will do this instinctively, is if Tarek feels my knee and my elbow starting to wedge underneath him, he's gonna sit his right hip to the floor. Yeah, here like this. Now when his hip's on the floor, there's no space for my knee to sneak underneath him. You see how like my knee connects to his back now. And this totally shuts down that first and most basic escape that most of us should know. Okay, so let's rewind a step. So the first escape we're gonna look at is very much like a timing thing. It doesn't require a lot of strength, but I have to catch the moment that Tarek does his base switch. So we're gonna start with the same frames. I'm always trying to connect my elbow and knee, but as soon as I feel Tarek start to switch his hip, my left hand is gonna catch his shoulder. There's a couple different grips you could use. I know people are very fond of like the bottom side collar here because it adds a lot of push on his neck. I just honestly prefer the armpit because I feel like I don't want to have to move my arm last minute to get this frame. So I like to just keep it literally in his armpit here. But again, as I feel him switch his hip, I'm going to extend my arm here. As I'm doing that, I'm getting up to my elbow. And if I don't move my legs, there'll be this awkward moment where I push him back, he lands on my legs, and then he just comes right back on top here and flattens me out. Okay, so as he switches his hip, I extend my arm, getting up to my elbow here, and then I'm just gonna slide my legs out of the way. And most of the time when this works, we end up on top and side control. Okay. So again. So if you didn't know, that's a great defense for Tarek of like blocking my elbow and knee connecting. If he does nothing and I'm able to get this wedge, I'm probably gonna be able to create space and square up to him. But he can avoid all that just by sitting his hip to the floor. And if he gets here and I miss my timing, don't worry, we'll look at another one afterwards. But for now, I really want us to practice the timing that as he switches his hip. And you should feel it happen because my knee and forearm are wedged again against his hip, so I can feel what he's gonna do. Okay, so again, as he goes, I extend my arm and get up to my elbow all at once. Even if all I'm able to do is get to here, and then I feel like Tarek comes back on top, it creates enough space that I can hip escape and start creating wedges inside, and it takes us back to like our original basic escape. So sometimes I start to sit up, and then I'm not able to actually fully reverse him, and as he comes back on top, I use that momentum to just scoop myself back, and then I might be able to square up and do my normal escape. Okay, so all together again, I have good frames, I know I'm in position. These hands are also like alleviating that cross-face pressure, so it's not a far stretch. My hand should already be kind of to his shoulder and armpit area. So as I'm trying to get my knee in, he switches his hip, pull up to my elbow. It's very realistic to end up all the way on top. You can also practice a second rep if you want of almost getting on top, having him push you back down, and creating space to go back to our original escape. All right, we'll try this, guys. One more escape. We call this like going belly down. So when we say in the warm-up, belly down instead of hip escapes, we want you to do this with like a specific purpose. So I see in the warm-up when we're here, people are just, oh yeah, they just like whip their legs around. With someone on top of you, I think that's like very realistic, or unrealistic, sorry. So I have to make sure when I'm doing this, I'm like doing one hip escape, a second hip escape, maybe even a third one to get here, to build myself up to my elbow and knees to be able to sit back to the guard again. Okay. What's nice about this escape is it doesn't rely on speed. But I will say you have to maintain the grips that we're gonna get the whole way through the sequence, okay? The nice thing about these grips is they don't feel very like assuming or threatening until it's a little bit too late for your partner to kind of shut down the movement. So Tarek, let me do it again here. There's a couple different scenarios. I'd say it could be just off of how we practiced where I was able to try and like switch my frame as he switches his base. And then I could end up going to this one. But a very common scenario is, let's say you knee cut me here, Tarek. Let's go back to the guard. Sometimes as someone goes for like a knee cut here, I'm gonna not be able to stop the pass, but I can block his crossface. So as he knee cuts through to side control here and lands, we end like this. Okay, we're like, I haven't quite stopped him from passing, but at the very least I can stop him from attaching himself to my upper body. I think this is probably the most common scenario. it could be just how we practice where we're here, and then as he switches his base, maybe I was able to go here, and I couldn't quite reverse him, but I'm not gonna let him reattach himself to this crossface now. Okay, I think that's very important for this technique. So the side that Tariq's on, you can just stay here. The side that Tariq's on, that arm is gonna grab his sleeve. Okay, and look how I'm grabbing the sleeve. I don't have the luxury of time to like, oh, hold on, Tariq, let me just get a good C-clamp here. I just wanna cup the fabric right here like this. I'll use 2 hands at first even. My cross arm, so my left arm, is eventually gonna make its way to his leg. If he's in this S position, let's rotate a little bit here, then it's gonna look like I'm just grabbing the near leg. But recognize that even if Tariq was in a normal base where he's chest to chest on me, then it's gonna be the far leg. Does that make sense? So I'm still grabbing the same leg, but when he switches his base, it just positions his leg a little differently. If he's chest to chest like this, go back. Here, I'm gonna have to do like a bridge into a hip escape and then reach my left arm for that far pant grip. So I think it's a little bit easier to get that second grip if he already has his base switched here. But I go sleeve first regardless. Sleeve first, grabbing the inside of the knee. Okay, and then now from here, it doesn't really matter like what he does pressure-wise. He can stay heavy like this, he can go to his knees, I don't really care. I have my grips. And I'm just gonna keep going belly down now. So I'm just gonna do a little bridge into a hip escape, stay heavy on top here, Tariq, and then I'm just gonna keep going here like this. Even if you get to your knees and try and take like turtle, as long as I keep these grips, I'm safe, okay? This stops him from wrapping my head and guillotining me, so I can't let him touch my head. And then the pant grip will stop him from circling to my back. So once I get here, even if he's heavy with his chest on my back, it's very easy to build up. So I go up to my elbow and then my knees. Okay, again, as long as I control the sleeve, he can't wrap my head. And as long as I'm grabbing his pant grip, he can't circle to my back. And I'm safe to keep this angle. There's a couple different ways we can play this out. The safest option, I think, is to step the same side foot of the pant grip up. And then I'm gonna treat this almost like a sit-through or like a knee cut. I'm gonna sit my right foot all the way through to his hip. So almost like a little knee cut here, I just slide through here like this. Okay, and if he's putting like a lot of pressure, my grip will still be kind of on his leg and he'll drop his weight on my arm. And people think like, oh, I'm in a bat, but you're still in closed guard. So just take your arm out, okay? Don't focus too much on like my arm being stuck here. If I'm able to close the guard, this is still great for me, okay? So again, and to start, you can have your partner put like just a little bit of weight on you, but by the end of today, I want your partner to be like full sprawl, just so you can feel what it's like when someone's actually like being very heavy on top of you. Still very realistic as long as we maintain those grips the whole way through the sequence. So again, however we got here, now I'm just blocking 2 hands. He could be chest to chest, he could be base switch, it's the same thing, okay? 2 hands block the cross face. If he's heavy like this on me, I'll do a bridge into a hip escape to get me to my side. And then now you should feel this left arm, very easy to grab that far knee, okay, right on the inside. And you can ask him to be as heavy as you want here. So if Tariq sprawls and is very heavy, all I'm doing is this. Now again, I can sit through the guard. What's nice about this too is if I don't want to play guard, I can take this standing too. I know he can't circle behind me. I know he can't grab my head. So I'm safe to come like all the way up to here. Maybe even turn it into a single leg on my own time too. Okay, once I get to here and I put this leg up, then I have all the options, okay? But I need to step this leg up. If I stay here, I'm not very mobile. If I step the pant side grip up, okay? And then, again, even if he's heavy on my back here, I still think it's very realistic to sit through. If you don't have the mobility to get to close guard, a couple options. One, I can switch from the pant grip to like hug his thigh. What's he gonna do when I do this? Probably sprawl the leg back, boom. There's my space to close my guard. Okay, if he doesn't respect that, then sure, use this, and now I can start attacking the single leg. Okay, but we have options. I can stand, I can sit through the guard, or I can attack the single. Last time. Just go on this side here. So I'm blocking 2 hands. Now this time Tariq's on my left, so my left hand is gonna control the sleeve. My cross arm is gonna go to the knee. So if I need to, I can do a bridge into a hip escape, reaching for that knee grip on the inside. 1, 2, 3. Build up to my elbow, my knee, and set the pant grip side up here. Okay, and then now I have all those same options. I can sit through the guard, or if I don't like where this is going, I come all the way to standing, get my head out, grab my collar, and start pulling guard or going for single legs. All right, let's try this, guys.